It's the Couple Indemnity podcast. We are a film podcast about the love of cinema by two very dedicated film fans. I'm Hal, and as ever this week, I'm joined by Izzy.
Hi, everyone.
This week, you've gone back to one of your favourite genres, I think we would say, the musical drama. What made you pick this one?
This one has been on my list for a while because it was a film I saw in the cinema when it came out back in 2018. I think I said at the end of the last podcast that it came out around the time of A Star Is Born, and it kind of got overshadowed because of the success of that film. But I always remembered this as a very kind of sweet British film with some good performances, I think, from Jessie, Buckley and Julie Walters, and I love the soundtrack as well. So I've had it on my list to show you for ages.
Yeah, it's not one I'd heard of at the time at all. And as you say, it probably was swept away by some of the more popular musicals like Star Is Born, and Judy came out in the same year, I believe, as well.
Which Jessie Buckley was in that as well.
Right, yeah. And this is fairly modern by our standards. We've done a few films more recent than this, but we have really hit some of the big classics of the golden age more recently. But it's interesting to see an actress who's gone on to become a real A-list star since then in Jessie Buckley. I know we saw her in an early episode of Endeavour, didn't we? That was done a few years before this. But it was interesting to see her in a leading role before her career really took kind of A-list shape. I think this movie really shows her musical prowess.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get into it. Let's play the trailer for it now.
I bet you're going to miss me.
Can you keep your foot still, please? You're going to be the next Dolly Parton!
Your Lordship, Miss Harlan has put her childish ways behind her. Her children are living with her once again.
Do you miss me?
She is a promising young country singer.
I'm trying to get to Nashville.
Well, you better mind your tag doesn't go off when you're going through security.
She now works full-time as a daily woman.
Hey! I'm trying to be a country singer.
Nobody wants to see a convicted criminal up there.
Johnny Cash is a convicted criminal, you ball bag. Country music is just 3 chords and the truth. Just gets whoever's in there out. I should have been born in America. I'm an American.
You're young. You're incredibly talented. There is nothing you can't do.
Just thinking about your kids. You cast them off when you get a better offer.
This is me trying to make something of myself, and surely that's a good thing for them.
No letting them down. That would be a good thing for them.
Wild Rose, released in 2018, but not in the UK until April 2019, starring Jessie Buckley and Julie Walters, directed by Tom Harper. Can you give us the synopsis for this one?
Amidst several difficulties, a single mother of 2 and a former convict from Scotland, Rose-Lynn, tries to pursue her dream of becoming a country singer. I actually just remembered, I guess this fits more into trivia, but I've just remembered that Jessie Buckley actually performed one of the songs for this, I think post-COVID. So there was or was it the weird COVID BAFTA award ceremony where it was all kind of like pre-filmed and things like that, and she did a live performance of the last song, something Yellow Brick Road, and but I remember it being quite a while after the film was actually released because of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of think this is a film, again, another one, we've had this label when we've been giving an overview to films or analysing the plots to recent films, but I think this is another one where we can say it's a movie of two halves, because I think the first half was a very bleak depiction of this convict trying to come back to her life in Glasgow and kind of face the realities of home life. The fact that she's got 2 children who are being predominantly completely looked after by their grandmother, played by Julie Walters.
Yeah. So Rose-Lynn has been in prison for a year for throwing drugs over the wall into a prison, which she claims she didn't know what the package was. But so she's been in prison for a year. She has 2 young children. One's 8 and one's 5. And she does say at a later point in the film that she had them both before she was 18. So it's clear that she still herself is kind of a child that hasn't really ever grown up.
Yeah, I mean, the general mood of this, I mean, a lot of these musicals, and I can sometimes utilise this as a criticism, is that a lot of these musicals often just feel a bit too a bit too happy-clappy and a bit
Like
too twee. Whereas this is anything but. This almost feels like a bleak sort of Ken Loach film for the first half of it, I would say. The very bleak kind of life on the council estates in Glasgow. And the kind of focus also, other than her musical career, is that her head isn't really into being a mother.
Not at all. No, not at all.
She isn't really...
She doesn't recognise the responsibility she has.
Yeah.
And when she comes out of prison, she uses and kind of takes advantage of her mum's generosity with her time and her house and her money. She takes massive advantage of her.
I think Julie Walters' role in this, other than being the doting grandmother who looks after the children, but is very much to kind of paint the realities of Rose's life to her. She's the main character in this film who doesn't get caught up in the roller coaster of the dream to just up and leave and go to Nashville.
Yeah.
And even she's very reluctant to encourage her to go to London to meet Bob Harris.
Yeah. But it's clear that Rose-Lynn has this huge dream of making it in Nashville. And I love some of those early scenes, like when she's walking out the prison dressed in like cowboy boots.
Yeah.
And like her fringed leather jacket, and how like the style, all this like tassel and fringe and sequins completely juxtaposes the absolutely grim kind of settings she ends up in Glasgow.
Yeah, because she's got a real anger management problem as well, because she walks back into that Grand Old Opry themed bar in Glasgow because she's asking about doing a gig, isn't she?
She wants her job back because she had been gigging there since she was 14.
Yeah.
But they've replaced her since she's been in prison, and she's furious.
Yeah.
And she like throws beer at them and smashes the glass everywhere, and so it's clear she has a massive anger problem. She also has a kind of situationship friend who she hooks up with in a park, and then is often like goes out for benders in the middle of the day with him.
Yeah, it's clear that the focus of their relationship is very much like drink and probably drugs as well.
Yeah.
So she's definitely got a lot of dangerous distractions in her life.
Yeah.
That not only distract her from her goal in her career, but also from being a mother.
And she's also restricted because she's got a tag.
Yeah.
So and she's trying to appeal it at the beginning, but she's got a electronic tag, which means that she has to be in her flat at a certain time. I think it's like 6 o'clock or something, or 6:30 or something. Which she almost gets caught out by a couple of times. So
in her kind of search for a job, which she needs to get just to earn some money, she takes a cleaning job at this lady's large house in Glasgow, Susanna, played by Sophie Okonedo. This is an interesting sort of character dynamic that opens up and really paves the way for her kind of route to London to meet Bob Harris, isn't it? This lady, Susanna, what is she? She is.
I think she's an architect or something like that.
And her husband is a very successful businessman,
He's a construction worker in building conservatories or something. Yep. Have both done very well for themselves, have pulled themselves up from a dingy area in Glasgow. So they're not like, they've made their money and made their success.
It was funny when Susanna's gone out and leaves Rose-Lynn to do the cleaning. And she puts on her headphones. She's going around not only singing, but she's taking swigs of the whiskey bottles and everything.
Yeah, but she's also, I love that scene because she's like pretending the band is with her.
Yeah.
And you get like
yeah, that was good.
There was a kind of Sinners reminiscent bit to me there because it's rotating.
It was a nice touch of like showing the imagination on screen of what's going through her head and to kind of imply what her dream is.
I think there's some like a scene like that in Amadeus as well.
Yeah.
The building of like the instrumentation, and it's in her imagination as she's kind of dancing around the room with a Hoover.
Isn't there doesn't the camera go into like a bird's eye shot?
Yeah.
When it's facing down on her, yeah.
And then Susanna's children come home from school, and hear her singing. So this is how the family kind of find out that she has a very good voice.
And Rose-Lynn acknowledges that they look like the two kids from The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so obviously the children have spoken to their mother, Susanna, about it, and Susanna is very interested to know about this and sets up a kind of remote audition video, doesn't she? to send to Bob
Yeah,
Harris.
she has a connection who knows someone that
Yeah.
they can try and get this video to Bob Harris, who's the BBC Radio 2 presenter who specialises in country music.
That's right.
And Rose-Lynn is, I think her kind of arrogance kind of shines through in this bit of the film, because she's saying, like, nobody knows country music like her in the UK other than Bob Harris.
Yeah.
Like, she genuinely thinks that she is, like, the best.
Yeah, but it's an interesting commentary on country music, because in modern day UK British scene, it does feel like country music is very much kind of swept under the carpet as like a niche sort of genre.
Yeah.
It's not really
But
taken...
it's having a moment at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's taken far less seriously than it is obviously in America.
Yeah, 100%.
In America, it's regarded as a far more mainstream music genre to take
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's interesting that we've got this concept of this singer from Glasgow who dreams, like, specifically of being a country star
I know,
rather
there's
than being a pop star.
There's that really awkward scene where she goes to Susanna and asks her for money. You're like, what are you doing? Why? This is so uncomfortable. Why do you think this woman's going to give you
and
money?
it's kind of the way she asks it, because she's so confident and brash from her kind of working class background. She almost says it with a kind of arrogance that she would be given it.
Because she's like, you wouldn't miss it. Look at this house. Like,
Yeah.
what's £3,000 to you? This could change my life. But it's uncomfortable. I think it just shows how young she is and how, I don't know, naive she is to the world.
One thing I'd forgotten actually was that Rose had to get a lawyer on board so that they could have a kind of like a tribunal to lift her probationary tag so that she can even travel to London.
Yeah, I mean, she's wanting the thing removed anyway, isn't she? Because it would really stop her from even gigging at bars if she has to be home by a certain time.
Exactly, because she'd be on a curfew. Yeah.
So the tribunal happens and she manages to get it taken off. I love that scene where she takes the lawyer to the Grand Ole Opry in Glasgow and jumps up on the stage, and they're all kind of...
It's very good. Yeah.
It's Outlaw State of Mind, isn't it, that she sings as well?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I love the soundtrack in this film. Like, some of the... what's the song she sings through the letterbox to her boyfriend?
Oh, it's one of my favourite of all time country songs. It's "Walking After Midnight" by Patsy Cline. Yeah, I think the music side of this is definitely the strongest element to it, and I do have some criticisms of the actual plot and the characterization, which we'll get into. But whenever there is a music scene, I think it really is, the quality shines through.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that they haven't pre-recorded Jessie Buckley's voice in a studio and then auto-tuned it. They kind of maintain that realism, that kind of, like, it's not perfect, but that's what makes it more realistic and more kind of gritty as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and
more joyful.
So Susanna offers Rose-Lynn a chance, and she has this kind of idea that she wants to... Is it for her birthday? Susanna says she has a birthday coming up.
This is after
she'd met Bob Harris.
She's gone to London. She's been robbed. And she's told by Bob Harris. He says, "You need to start writing your own music and playing an instrument, basically, because otherwise you're not going to stand out. And you need to write about your own life." And so she comes back from London, and Susanna is very excited and says, "We're going to get you to Nashville. It's my 50th birthday party. I want you to perform. And instead of bringing presents, I'm going to ask people to donate to you, to sponsor you to go to Nashville."
Yeah, a crowdfunding idea, because it's clear that Susanna and her husband have a lot of wealthy friends.
But between all of these scenes of her going to London and her working with Susanna, because Rose-Lynn also hasn't told Susanna she has children, so Susanna's under the impression that she is just this kind of young, lost kid.
I think this is a bit of a shifting and turning point for Rose-Lynn's kind of mentality in this way and her emotions in the film, because there's a conversation I think she has on the steps with her at one point in the build-up to this party where Susanna is reassuring Rose that she has everything at her disposal. She has no obligations or responsibilities because she's young, etc., etc. So she has nothing to hold her back. So she can just go for it.
And she says to her,
And Rose
"Until you have children."
Yeah, exactly. And she just nods and doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
So I think that is starting to. Well, that means that the heavy weight of this and the burden and the realization of having children creates a moral dilemma in Rose's head.
I think she really starts to internalize this kind of guilt from this. Like, she really struggles being both on it, like true to herself and what she wants to achieve, but also knowing she's being a terrible mother at the same time. And I think that really starts to kind of chip away at her, because we see that kind of how much she struggles taking her children, because basically her mum refuses to look after the children so that Rose-Lynn can rehearse and practice for this party.
Yeah.
For this gig, and her mum says, you've already made a promise that you're going to have them for half term. You can't keep breaking your promises to them. And Rose-Lynn just decides to drop them with as many different people as she knows for the week.
Yeah.
So even people that aren't
that she's particularly close to,
or that she's close with, but you can see, like, as she's walking away from these places, like how much pain she's in over it.
Yeah, I think the weight of it, and that she knows that she really shouldn't be doing this by this point.
Yeah, because she has started to become a better mother. She's cleaned up the flat. She's trying to keep on top of their kind of school bags and things like that. So she has built better relationships with her children, and she's just damaging it all in 1 week.
Yeah.
Because she is passing them off to other people.
And there's one scene where the husband of Susanna, I think, was dropping her home from, I presume that was from work, but it happens to be the day before she's due to do the gig at the party, and the husband turns around to her in the car, stops the car, turns the engine off, and says to her, like, that she knows everything about her history. He says,
"I know you were in prison, and I'm onto you, and you might have fooled my wife, but..."
Does he say that he knows that she's got kids?
No,
it's just about her history with the law.
But I think because he's from that area of Glasgow, I think he sees right through her, and he's like, I see you. I know what you're kind of like. You might have fooled my wife, but you haven't fooled me.
And that's true, because I think it does feel an element of Susanna's, how gullible she is.
Yeah. I think she likes the idea of being like
almost like
sponsor.
A saviour, the sponsor or the saviour. It kind of gives her a purpose in her own life, because she has no money worries. She lives in this very wealthy house, and it probably makes Susanna feel good that she's helping this aspiring country singer out.
And then so she's in an absolute kind of emotional state after this, because she feels like she's been called out. So Rose-Lynn goes back to her flat. She's got the kids run inside. She shuts the door, or they slam the door behind them because they're angry with her. She has a beer with the boyfriend, situationship
who's come back on the
guy.
scene, because he hadn't heard from her for a long time.
So he turns up and hands her a beer out on the like balcony part of the flat building, and then there's this huge crash from inside the flat, and is it Lyle? Yeah, Lyle, the son, the 5-year-old, has broken his arm falling off of something because he was unattended. So they spend the whole night at the hospital. And there's that really uncomfortable scene, isn't there, when she has to call her mother to come and look after them because she leaves them.
But I think they've been waiting all night in the hospital for them to get any kind of medical help. It was a busy night in the hospital, and NHS waiting times, very true to life, like a lot of this film really is. So it took all night for Lyle to be seen, and this is now on the morning of the performance.
Yeah,
at the gig,
and she makes the wrong decision, really. And I think she knows what she's doing is wrong, because her son needs her, and she leaves him in the hospital.
Yep.
And her mum is just furious with her.
I think the character of Julie Walters, Marion, the grandmother, is a very admirable character, because she's so disappointed by her daughter and what she's doing, but she doesn't cause a scene in front of the kids.
No.
She just says, all right, go. Like, I will look after them. But she's so you can tell the way Julie Waters is playing it. She's just so disappointed by it.
Like that internal fury at her for constantly making the wrong decision and never choosing her children and putting them first.
And then you get the scene of her getting ready in the bathroom and her doing her makeup and she's crying while she's putting her mascara on.
Yeah.
And
drinking, so she turns up to the party smashed.
Exactly.
But it's like it all kind of falls down on her, doesn't it? And she can't cope with it.
Yeah, she goes up on the stage and she can't go ahead with singing and she breaks down and runs off.
Tells Susanna everything as she's leaving.
Yeah.
In a very kind of emotional outburst. And goes home. She gets a new job, working at the same... I don't know what that building was where her mum works in the bakery. It looked like an airport, but I don't think it was one.
I took it as like a shopping centre, you know, like where there was multiple different outlets and like a department store. To me, that looked like...
It kind of looked like a train station or an airport.
Oh, to me, it looked like a sort of like John Lewis type building. Or something like.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Or just, a big shopping centre. But she gets a job as a waitress there. She, again, cleans up her act, dedicates herself to her children. And, there's a couple of scenes where, like, the things that she's wearing changes. She becomes far more kind of normal in what she's dressing as, and just kind of jeans and a t-shirt, none of the cowboy boots, and so she's kind of completely given up on that dream. Yeah,
it's kind of, I think it's implied by this point that Rose has devoted herself more to the everyday responsibilities of being a mother and holding a standard job. So that's great, and we're kind of very much on her side for that. But her dreams and her rehearsal time and having this country star persona has really been put on the back burner.
And you can tell, like, she's lost all kind of hope, and she's doing exactly what her mum did, which is pushing all of her hope and dreams through her children now. And that's what, like, Marion, Julie Waters' character, like, has to step in and actually ends up giving her the money to go to Nashville, because she said, like, I didn't want to kill your hope.
Yeah, and this was one of the better scenes.
I just wanted you to take responsibility.
I found this one of the better scenes in the film in terms of kind of a believable emotional moment between two characters. But I didn't really understand how she had got the money.
I think it's just her savings. And she says, like, she always had it. She wanted to give it to her, but she was waiting for her to take responsibility.
Okay.
So she was like, I wanted you to take responsibility. I didn't want to kill your hope, I think is the line. So Rose-Lynn, like, initially tries to reject it, but eventually ends up accepting it and goes to Nashville.
I think Rose realizes in that very moment that she's seen a side of her mother, and a sign of encouragement from a mother that she hasn't seen yet before, and that makes her realize that it's an opportunity she'll never get again.
Yeah.
So she obviously travels to Nashville, and we get a bit of a different filming environment for this last sort of fifth of the film.
Oh, we get some great shots of, like, the big kind of neon streets.
The Strip,
yeah. And the Ryman Auditorium and the Bluebird Cafe. We get, like, cameos from Casey Musgraves and who obviously since then has... Well, she would have been big in America at this point, but I think since then has kind of continued to grow in the country scene. And ends up sneaking onto the stage at the Ryman Auditorium, which is where the Grand Ole Opry is. And sneaks onto stage and does a song, which, you know, like, is quite cheesy because the guy who's just packing away his violin, like, ends up picking up the exact song she's singing.
Yeah, and actually in that very moment, I wasn't sure if this was if slipping into like an imaginary mode again.
But then the security guard outside tells her that loads of people do this, and I think there's this realization for Rose-Lynn when she's in Nashville that she has felt unique in Glasgow because she's a country singer in Glasgow, but now she's in Nashville with all of these ridiculously talented country musicians who play instruments, write their own music, dance at the same time, she suddenly realises like how small she is, I think, in that setting. But she needed to go there to know.
Yeah.
And to see.
Yeah, a small fish in a big pond type thing. And I think it's that realisation. But I think the way I kind of interpret it, when she ends up in Glasgow, there isn't a lot of acknowledgement about Nashville and her trip there, but it's almost like she needed to do it. That she needed to experience that environment. Because then what is the final scene? It's like a year on where she's performing.
Yeah, I love the song as well. It's the No Place Like Home song, which is the one she sang at the BAFTAs. And she's formed in she's performing at a place called Celtic Connections, which is a real place in Glasgow, for more traditional kind of Scottish folk music.
It's actually what's called the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So she's embraced more of her kind of her roots instead of trying to be something she's not. She becomes...
Yes, that's true.
Herself, I think.
Yeah, I think she's very much embracing, her being a Scottish folk singer.
Yeah, and that's what makes her stand out, rather than trying to be an American country singer, because she never will be.
I guess it's being proud of where you're from, really.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate message behind it. And you see these nice kind of long, drawn-out shots of the family in the audience.
I love
children.
the lyrics in this song. The first part, so she said, "I worn out the stones in front of your doorstep, coming and going, coming and going. You left the light on." Why do I know all the lyrics to this? "You left the light on. I always knew that. I should have said thank you 1,000 miles ago." And she's like singing it to her mum. And I always find that such like an emotional verse to her at the end of this film.
But this is only your second watch, isn't it?
It's my second watch, but I think it was one of my most listened to albums of 2019.
Oh, okay.
Because I listened to the soundtrack on Spotify for like a year. So I know the songs quite well, even if I've only seen the film a couple of times.
So that's it. It's only an hour and 40, I think. So it's very standard filming length, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, I think, overall in terms of its running time. But an interesting movie. Some of the trivia behind it: following the success of Wild Rose, Jessie Buckley embarked on a UK and Ireland tour, which included a set of Glastonbury that year. And she performed, as you said, a lot of songs from this soundtrack. The song...
Glasgow, No Place Like Home.
Yeah, one of the songs included was Glasgow, No Place Like Home. And filming and photography took place across 2017, including all of the on-location filming in Glasgow, including some well-known shopping areas like Buchanan Street.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously all that filming was in Nashville, which we take to be the spiritual home of country music. I think you have a similar kind of dream of visiting Nashville in that way.
Well, not to become a country music star, but I would love to visit Nashville, and I'd love to go to the museum as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt and Patsy Cline, and it's
the history
just their history of it is immense.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to go one day. And watching this film again, I was like, one day I'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, this might maybe lead to a sort of kind of country movie segment that you might build on. That you might do films like
what's the one with
the Johnny Cash biopic?
Yeah, that's
Walk the
what I was
Line.
just thinking.
In terms of awards, Wild Rose was nominated for a lot of kind of local British and Scottish ceremonies that year, and it won a few. The song Wild Rose won the award for Best Original Song at the Critics' Choice Awards. Now at the BAFTAs, Jessie Buckley was nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role, but that year it was won by Renée Zellweger for Judy. And that movie obviously cleaned up pretty much all the awards that year, didn't it?
Yeah, because I was going to say that makes sense, because like Renée Zellweger's been in the business for a long time and deserved that win for Judy. But Jessie Buckley winning for Hamnet this year, like her time did come eventually. I
mean, I would argue I'm not massive on that performance by Renée Zellweger. I don't know. How would you compare that with other musical performances and other female performances?
That year, I think it was one of those times that the award was given for kind of services to the arts more than necessarily just that film.
So did Jessie Buckley win for Hamnet?
Yeah, she did. She won both the BAFTA and the Oscar this year. She swept. She did Golden Globes, the Screen Guild one, the Actors' Choice one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she absolutely swept the awards this season for
Well,
Hamnet.
that definitely leads nicely into...
I can't wait to show you Hamnet as well, because I think she is ridiculous. One of the best female performances in easily the last 10 years.
Well, we're talking about Jessie Buckley now, so we'll talk about the actual performance. How do you think it compares to other things you've seen of Jessie Buckley?
Well, first of all, I think it's impressive to be able to do like that, convincing a Glaswegian. I mean, I'm not Glaswegian, but she's an Irish actress doing a very strong Glaswegian accent. You were like, oh, it's another film where an Irish person's playing...
Because I remembered now what it was. The other one, Paul Mescal in Aftersun, which we did for the pod.
Yeah.
And I would argue Jessie Buckley's was a bit more convincing. It was all right, Paul Mescal's.
It's stronger.
Yeah.
It had to be stronger because it's more kind of...
It's Glasgow.
It's Glasgow. It has to be kind of... Yeah.
It had to be a lot more raw.
Definitely.
Then I think I'm getting the impression that Paul Mescal's was a bit more kind of Edinburgh and a bit more kind of upper class. Yeah, softer, definitely. But I mean, Jessie Buckley, she's really risen to real stardom in the years since this movie. She starred in a lot of stage and TV work in the 2010s, like on shows like War and Peace on the BBC, that Early Endeavour episode that I mentioned that we'd only watched a few weeks ago. Wild Rose was only her second feature film role, that was followed by that supporting role in Judy. And then she's done films like The Courier, The Lost Daughter, Wicked Little Letters with Olivia Colman.
Well, The Lost Daughter was with Olivia Colman as well.
Oh, right. Exactly, yeah. So, and then last year was Hamnet, which you obviously raved about. I think you gave it 5 stars when you went to the cinema to see it. So I can definitely see more selections of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing us forward to more Jessie Buckley performances.
We'll definitely see her in Hamnet at some point when we do it for the podcast, because you need to see that film. I think it's, as I said, just a stunning performance. Yeah, it was very... And I think she has only got better. I know actors often do, from their early performances, but I think she has the transformation in her performance since, for instance, Wild Rose to Hamnet. You can see how much she's grown as an actress.
I do find it interesting with actresses, and you can make the comparison to actors across film history, but actors who have a dual talent in acting and singing, and kind of where their main strength lies. Because while I think this was a good performance, I was more wowed by her musical prowess, and I often make that argument with actresses like Barbra Streisand. And
Jessie Buckley is definitely an actress over a singer. She is a good singer in this, but she's definitely an actress, and you'll see exactly what I mean when you see Hamnet, because it's unreal performance.
Yeah, we definitely need to do them. Now, Julie Walters as Marion. Our first performance we've talked about with Julie Walters on the pod. So I'm sure there's going to be more, because she's done a lot of work in her time. Really rose to prominence on stage on British TV in the late 70s.
This has to be one of her latest performances.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of her most recent roles. Yes, I think she's only done a couple of films since then in much smaller supporting roles. Her big film debut was a movie I only watched last year for the first time, and it's definitely on the list because it's very entertaining. And a recent theme for us has been Liverpool, and she plays a fantastic Scouser in Educating Rita.
I think that Julie Walters is one of the most talented accent actresses. Her ability, because then you see it with like Billy Elliot.
Yep.
And
she's a Geordie.
You've got Liverpudlian. You've got, I don't even know what accent she's doing in Mamma Mia, just a Surrey accent. But like her ability to... Yeah,
she's very talented at this kind of working class roles that really allows her to hone different accents, regional accents. She plays a fantastic Scouser in Educating Rita with Michael Caine. I think you're going to be very entertained when we watch that one for the pod. But she did a lot of like comedic roles on TV with Victoria Wood in the 80s and 90s. And both of them were brilliant with their characterizations and different accents that they were using for those.
Was that because one of the most famous clips you see of Julie Walters is always her as the old waitress with the shaky tray?
Yeah, was that from Dinner Ladies? I think it was Dinner Ladies, which was a sitcom in the 90s, Victoria Wood sitcom.
Yeah.
Billy Elliot is also on the list. It has to be.
I love Billy Elliot.
Because I do maintain it is a quality British film. And some people kind of put it down a bit and say it's cheesy, but I don't think it is. I think it reflects a very important time in British history in the 80s, and it's very moving. And she's fantastic in Billy Elliot, as the ballet teacher.
So good.
It's a shame. I think since then she's gone on to become involved with a lot lighter movies. This is a bit of an exception because she's done things like Calendar Girls and Mamma Mia. But this is a different exception. But she was good in this.
But I think that we shouldn't shame actresses or actors who in their later career don't want to do really serious heavy films. They want to enjoy themselves on set. They've let go of the need to try and prove themselves, and enjoy the moment.
It's similar to Meryl Streep, isn't it?
Definitely.
The earlier body of work is some serious heavy stuff to take seriously.
Yeah, because I was listening to a interview because of Devil Wears Prada 2 out at the moment, which I saw earlier this week. There was an interview with the cast, and they were saying like Meryl Streep in the first film had been almost like method, like don't talk to me, don't come near me, I'm in character, whereas apparently this time around she was like having a whale of a time on set.
Yeah, I do understand that because it's a sequel and you've come to that point in your career where
it doesn't really matter.
Not really. I mean, it
doesn't matter if the film flops or doesn't make money, or
she's going to be paid at the end
she's
of the day.
like, ultimately I got what I need out of it.
And I think someone like Meryl Streep, and I think Julie Walters in the last 10 or 15 years just enjoys doing press. They enjoy doing the interviews and things like that. So another more recent one is definitely, I think she has another small supporting role in, is Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, which is the Gloria Graham biopic. Again, I assume she's doing a Scouse accent in that. That was the year before this. That was 2017. So we should watch that, definitely, even just alone for the subject matter. The only other performance I wanted to mention was Sophie Okonedo as Susanna, because she's a British actress who really rose through the National Theatre in the 90s, and had a lot of small roles in film and TV. But in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, she's become involved with a lot of big stuff. She has a small recurring role in Slow Horses. Kenneth Branagh's used her in the dreadful Poirot films like Death on the Nile recently. I think the only kind of film that I think we may do for the podcast, which apparently she's in, is Hotel Rwanda.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, it was an okay performance, but I kind of didn't really believe that character too much. And this is one of the kind of criticisms I have of the movie, is that she was very gullible, but I didn't really buy the kind of how convenient this relationship was for the purposes of the plot. But that's not a reflection of how she plays, of her performance.
No. I would agree. I feel like the film ends a little bit too perfectly with her in the audience with the 2 kids. I'm like, why are you there?
And the fact that we're just forgetting about how
you were
hostile the
completely
husband
played
was.
by this woman. Yeah.
And the husband was completely hostile to the idea. So I think it was all just a bit too perfect with this character of Susanna.
Yeah.
Perfectly, to be honest. But interesting performance, and yeah, maybe we'll be talking about her again. But I think she's definitely becoming a very versatile TV actress. So I think we'll definitely see her again. The director Tom Harper is a British director who's done a lot of TV in the last 20 years on shows like Misfits. I think he did that War and Peace BBC 3-parter that was with Jessie Buckley in 2016. And earlier he'd done the This Is England TV sequel, 86. Wild Rose was the 4th of his 7 feature films he's directed. And the most recent one, and the only one I've actually heard of his other movies, was the Peaky Blinders movie.
Oh, the recent one?
The recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your final rating of Wild Roses?
Okay, so I said that it's a very sweet, but it is a bleak depiction of kind of Glasgow, one, but also youth, ambition, sacrifice, deception. And I love that kind of juxtaposition between the grey Glaswegian streets with the costume that Rose-Lynn wears with the tassels and the cowboy boots. And I love the soundtrack. I think Jessie Buckley's singing is, as I said earlier in the podcast, I love that they kept it unauto-tuned and kind of a bit imperfect and gritty. I love that. It wouldn't have worked if it had been too clean. I think that the character is highly unlikable, but I think some of the themes are really impactful, I think like that frustrated kind of motherhood. Like we never know where the kids' dads are.
No.
And he's never held to account for abandoning them, or not being there for them, and all of the pressure falls onto her, and she's young and silly and arrogant. She's imperfect. But I think that there's some nice messages kind of hidden in there. I think it's a very simple plot, and I do think that the film ends a little bit too perfectly with all of, like Bob Harris in the audience and
Yeah.
and Susanna without any
It does
idea
feel,
of where the reconciliations happened.
ironically, it does feel quite a Hollywood type ending, doesn't it?
But I love that last song, and
Yeah.
I love the lyrics. So I gave it 3.5.
Okay, well, it's definitely a respectable score. I think overall, taking kind of high level, a bit of perspective on it, is that I don't think it's a great film, personally, overall. It's not one I would probably have chosen to watch myself. So it was
Which is
good.
exactly why I showed it to you.
Exactly. And there was going to be a kind of inevitable come down after doing Vertigo.
Oh, well, it was
a film that's
gonna
just so
be
perfect.
impossible. So it wasn't even worth me trying to compete with Vertigo.
No. And I did think it was important that we kind of did shift again back to a bit more of a modern film. So it was, I think overall it was a good choice. And it was interesting. I found that interesting, all that bleakness in the first half, slightly depressing, but the fact for the genre that it was doing it in made it kind of stand out from other typical musical dramas.
It's kind of it reminded me a little bit of Sunshine on Leaf.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Sunshine on Leaf. Yeah, that I can see the similarities there, obviously for the Scottish theme. But
that's far more heavy in the musical side of things.
I do need to watch more Jessie Buckley, and it was good to see her in an earlier role, I think, rather than doing one of her more recent ones. Her musical prowess and vocal range was hugely impressive on this. I really enjoyed the musical scenes, and I'm not one who usually gravitates towards musicals in general. And the two that you've done this year on the pod, this and The Sound of Music, I've been very respectful of.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting.
Well, we're not doing Walking on Sunshine, so don't worry.
But definitely a lot of weaknesses. I did find it quite fairly weak on the character development. I wanted to know more about the relationship between her and Julie Walters, her own mum, and I just felt like that was all a bit rushed and just convenient for the plot to keep it moving along. And the character of Susanna was definitely very convenient for the plot, and I didn't find it particularly believable. The storyline does end up being fairly formulaic as well by the end of it, and how it turns out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't particularly stand out, but it's an interesting watch, and I think people who are interested in country music and are interested in Jessie Buckley as an actress in her career should watch it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are the people I think I would recommend this one to. So I've given it a respectful 3.25 overall.
I feel like that's
it's
around
decent.
what I expected.
Yeah, it's not a shocker. It's not a Casper.
It's not a Casper.
And it's not a
Ghost.
Oh, what's the really highly rated French movie that we both hated? Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
That
went down like a shit sandwich. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break, and we're back with my next selection. Well, it's for our next selection. We've got another trip to the movies, another trip to the flicks.
Flicks. The pictures.
Yes, to the talkies. Actually, ironically, this isn't for the talkies.
No, it's not a
because
talkie.
we are watching another silent film. This will be our second, I believe, for the pod after Nosferatu. But we're doing a real star of film history. And a first for us, because we've never watched one of his. We've done one Buster Keaton before we started Couple Indemnity, but we are doing a Chaplin film that has been screened in Regent Street in London next weekend. So I'm very excited about this. And it's one I've never watched before myself. So we're doing 1925's The Gold Rush.
It's very exciting. Do you love a Charlie Chaplin film?
Yeah, very interesting. And I can't wait to talk about him because one of the most fascinating, enigmatic people from film history and hugely influential on the whole genre of comedy and film as well for the decades and the 20th century. So very excited about this. Interesting point of his career as well, because I think this was his 4th or 5th big film, but it's still much earlier than some of the bigger ones that he went on to do, like Modern Times and The Great Dictator.
Yeah.
So this will be a good one to do. I think it's all set in Alaska. So it'll be interesting to talk about. We'll leave it there for now. Looking forward to getting into that one. We've been Couple Indemnity, and you can find us on all the good platforms for podcasts, including Apple and Spotify. We're on coupleindemnity@gmail.com. Let us know if you've got any feedback or recommendations, or if you've watched Wild Road or any of our other recent movies that we've watched. So please give us your opinions. On the socials, we are on X, Blue Sky, and we are also on YouTube. So, thank you for joining me today, Izzy.
Thank you.
Join us next week for a little bit of me, Izzy, and Charlie Chaplin. See you then, guys.
Bye, guys.